December 13th, 1945. At Hamelin Prison in British-occupied Germany, a young woman is led toward the gallows. There is no crowd, no shouting, no chanting, no last-minute appeal from a priest or lawyer. The war is over. The verdict is final. Moments later, her body is discovered, hanging from torn prison sheets, knotted with care, looped around a heating pipe. There is no drama in the end, only silence and the weight of what she represents. Her name is Irma Grese. She is 22 years old. To history, she will forever be remembered as the Hyena of Auschwitz, a concentration camp guard whose cruelty was so extreme that survivors remembered her decades later. By name, by face, by voice. A woman whose presence inspired fear even among fellow SS guards. A symbol of how absolute power corrodes the human soul. Most people assume monsters like Irma come from monstrous homes, fanatical parents, violent siblings, a household saturated in Nazi ideology and hatred. That explanation is comforting. It creates distance. It reassures us that evil is inherited, not learned. But that story is wrong. What history usually leaves out is this. Irma's mother killed herself when Irma was 12. Her father, an influential Nazi party leader, beat her with her own revolver when she returned home wearing an SS uniform. And her sister testified under oath that Irma, as a child, ran away from conflict rather than confronting it. This is not the story of a family that escaped justice. It is the story of a family that was already broken, long before the war, and then paid for it by vanishing completely. January 1936. Irma Grese is 12 years old when her childhood ends. Her mother, Berta Grese, discovers that her husband Alfred is having an affair. In a village of just 175 people, secrets do not stay private. Infidelity is not only a betrayal of marriage, it is a public humiliation. Berta does not confront him. She does not leave. She does not seek help. Instead, she swallows pesticide. She is 32 years old. This detail is often treated as a footnote in Irma's biography, but it should not be. Because the Grese family did not fracture after the war. It fractured a decade earlier. A 12-year-old girl watched her mother choose death over endurance, over dignity, over her children. Whatever sense of safety Irma had, the belief that adults could protect her, that family was permanent, ended that day. And the suicide was not quiet. In a village this small, everyone knew how Berta died, and why. Irma grew up surrounded by whispers, by neighbors who lowered their voices when she passed, by pitying looks that carried judgment beneath them. Her mother's death was not just a loss. It became a stain, one Irma carried into adolescence like a shadow. Alfred Grese did not remain single for long. By 1939, he remarried a widow who brought 4 children of her own into the household. Suddenly, Irma found herself in a blended family of 8 children, competing for attention in a home where her biological mother had been quietly erased. The transition was abrupt. There was no space for mourning, no acknowledgement of trauma. Life simply moved on. The message was unmistakable. Berta was replaceable, and so were her children. Irma and her siblings, Helene, Liesel, Alfred Jr., and Otto, became emotional outsiders in their own home. Their grief was inconvenient, their pain invisible. The war had not yet begun, but the family was already at war with itself. At the Belsen trial in 1945, Irma's older sister, Helene Grese, took the witness stand. What she said contradicted everything the prosecution had presented. "My sister never had the courage to fight," Helene testified. On the contrary, she ran away. This was the woman accused of beating prisoners with a riding crop, of unleashing dogs on inmates, of selecting victims for the gas chambers with visible enthusiasm. And yet, according to her own sister, Irma had once been a child who avoided confrontation, who retreated rather than attacked. So what happened? Historians still debate this transformation. Some point to the SS training system, a deliberate process of moral annihilation. Guards were systematically desensitized to violence. Cruelty was rewarded, mercy was punished, hesitation was mocked. The camps did not recruit sadists, they manufactured them. Others argue something darker, that Irma sought out the camps because they offered permission. Permission to stop running, permission to dominate, permission to unleash impulses she had suppressed since childhood. What is certain is how fast the change occurred. Irma joined the SS Auxiliary in 1942, earning just 54 Reichsmarks per month. Within months, survivors remembered her distinctly. Her blonde hair, her riding crop, her laugh. Something in Auschwitz unlocked her. Alfred Grese joined the Nazi Party in 1937. In a village of 175 people, he rose to become Ortsgruppenleiter, the most powerful man in town. He organized rallies, enforced ideological loyalty, and reported neighbors who showed insufficient enthusiasm for the regime. He believed in National Socialism. He benefited from it. He raised his children under its banner. But when Irma came home in 1943 wearing her SS uniform, Alfred did not celebrate. According to testimony, Irma tore the head off her stepsister's doll, a small, casual act of cruelty. The kind of violence that had become normalized in the camps now carried into the family home. Alfred's response was immediate. He grabbed Irma's own revolver and struck her with it. The contradiction is stark. The party leader could tolerate the camps in theory, but not his daughter embodying them. This psychological fracture appeared in many Nazi families, the ability to support mass murder abstractly while recoiling when it touched someone they loved. That dissonance never resolved. It simply poisoned what remained of the family. January 1945. As the Soviet army advances, the Grese family flees west with thousands of refugees. Roads clog with carts, children, elderly parents. Entire lives reduced to what can be carried. It is during this flight that Helene learns the truth, not from family, but from a newspaper. Her sister has been arrested at Bergen-Belsen. "I was horrified," Helene later testified. "How is such a thing possible? I knew of no camps." Whether Irma deliberately concealed her actions or the truth simply never reached their village, Helene's shock appears genuine. And yet, she did not abandon her sister. She traveled to Lüneburg to find legal counsel for Irma, a mission doomed from the start. Survivors had identified her. Photographs existed. Irma herself admitted responsibility. Helene did not try to excuse the crimes. She tried to explain them. It was not enough. On December the 13th, 1945, Irma Grese was hanged, the youngest woman executed under British jurisdiction in the 20th century. After the war, the Grese family returned to their looted home. Only a few belongings remained. A swastika flag still stood behind the door. That flag sealed their fate. They were now in the Soviet occupation zone, where denazification meant punishment, not rehabilitation. Alfred Grese disappears from all records. No death certificate, no trial transcript, no grave. He may have died in a camp. He may have been executed. He may have lived under an assumed identity. We do not know. Helene disappears too. So do every one of Irma's siblings. No marriage records, no burial records, no immigration documents. The family did not fall silent. They were erased. Unlike other Nazi families who defended, debated, or publicly confronted their legacies, the Grese family left nothing. No memoirs, no interviews, no statements. Irma's final letter declared defiance. But the family she left behind chose the opposite. They vanished. And that disappearance may be the final cost of proximity to evil. The monster was punished. The family paid with total erasure, and history was left with silence.